2 Kings, chapter 25. And it came to pass in the 9th year of his kingdom, in the 10th month, on the 10th of the month, came Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and all his force against Jerusalem. And he camped about it, and built upon it a rampart round about. And the city became for being encompassed about, until the 11th year of Zedekiah the king, the 9th of the month. And the hunger grew in strength in the city, and there was not bread to the people of the land. And the city was torn through, and all the men of war went forth by night in the way of the gate between the walls, which is of the garden of the king. And the Chaldeans were upon the city round about, and they went the way unto the descent. And the force of the Chaldeans pursued after the king, and overtook him by the descent of Jericho, and all his force were dispersed from about him. And they seized the king, and they led him to the king of Babylon in Riblah, and he spoke judgment against him. And he slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and the eyes of Zedekiah he blinded, and tied him in shackles, and led him unto Babylon. And in the 5th month, the 7th of the month, this is the 19th year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, came Nebuzaradan the chief guard, the one standing in the presence of the king of Babylon, into Jerusalem. And he burned the house of the Lord, and the house of the king, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and every great house he burned by fire. And the wall of Jerusalem round about, the force of the Chaldeans tore down, and the extra ones of the people being left behind in the city, and the ones falling in, who fell in with the king of Babylon, and the rest of the support, Nebuzaradan the chief guard removed. And from the poor of the land the chief guard left behind for vine dressers and farmers. And the columns of brass in the house of the Lord, and the bases, and the brass sea in the house of the Lord, the Chaldeans cut up, and carried their brass unto Babylon. And the kettles, and the shovels, and the bowls, and the incense pans, and all the items of brass in which they officiated with them, he took. And the censers, and the bowls of gold, and the ones of silver, the chief guard took. And the 2 columns, and the 1 sea, and the bases which Solomon made for the house of the Lord, there was not a measuring the weight of the brass of all the items. 18 cubits was the height of the 1 column, and the capital upon it of brass. 3 cubits was the height of the capital. And the lattice work and pomegranates upon the capital round about were entirely of brass. And according to these it was to the 2nd column upon the lattice work. And the chief guard took Seraiah, the foremost priest, and Zephaniah, the 2nd-rank priest, and the 3 guarding the money. And from out of the city he took 1 eunuch, who was supervisor of the men warriors, and 5 men of the ones appearing in front of the king, of the ones being found in the city, and the scribe of the ruler of the force, the one arraying the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land being found in the city. And Nebuzaradan the chief guard took them, and led them away to the king of Babylon in Riblah. And the king of Babylon smote them, and killed them in Riblah in the land of Hamath, and he resettled Judah from its land. And over the people being left behind in the land of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon left behind, he placed over it Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan. And all the rulers of the force heard, they and their men, that the king of Babylon placed Gedaliah in charge. And they came to Gedaliah in Mizpah, even Ishmael son of Nethaniah, and Johanan son of Kareah, and Seraiah son of Tahumeth the Netophathite, and Jaazaniah son of the Maacathite, they and their men. And Gedaliah swore by an oath to them and to their men, and said to them, Do not fear the passing by of the Chaldeans. Settle in the land, and serve to the king of Babylon, and it will be well to you. And it came to pass in the 7th month came Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, son of Elishama, from out of the seat of the kingdom, and 10 men with him. And he struck Gedaliah, and he died, and the Jews and the Chaldeans who were with him in Mizpah. And all the people rose up from small unto great, and the rulers of the force, and entered into Egypt, for they feared from the face of the Chaldeans. And it came to pass in the 30th and 7th year of the resettlement of Jehoiakim king of Judah, in the 12th month, 7th and 20th day of the month, Evil-Merodach king of Babylon raised up high in the 1st year of his kingdom the head of Jehoiachin, the king of Judah, and led him from out of the house of the prison. And he spoke with him for good, and put his throne above the thrones of the kings with him in Babylon. And he changed the garments of his prison, and he ate bread always in his presence all the days of his life. And his feasting was a feasting always given to him from out of the house of the king, a day's reckoning in his day, all the days of his life.